Everybody, welcome to Old Fashioned Catholics. I'm Nick.
And I'm still jamming out to that intro music.
Oh,
Welcome to Old Fashioned Catholics. We are two
hey,
Catholic dads who like drinking old fashions. Check out our sweet glasses if you haven't yet.
it was so
Maybe if
good.
you're lucky, we'll give you one.
Maybe, but maybe not. So there. Ever think about that? Um, we are just Catholic dads who film late at night and often drink old fashions. And we have found that the show is best enjoyed if you imbibe something, just anything. It doesn't have to be alcoholic, but it could be. You know.
We'll give you a second if you want to grab a drink. If you haven't,
We're doing this live, so we can't show you the screen. I could actually show you a drink menu from, well, let's see, when was this? Time to mix your drink. And this is a prior episode.
oh,
So
milk.
I had,
Hey, that
yeah,
was for
oh,
our
this,
It's a Wonderful Life.
it's a wonderful life. There we go.
Remember when
And
you
it's done.
told me that milk was one of the drinks from It's a Wonderful Life, and then I
Yeah.
drank milk like a chump?
Yeah. And I can't believe that it wasn't because I thought for sure that it was.
Just wasn't.
Anyway. So,
What are you drinking?
You know, well, that's the thing. So for Lent, here's the thing. For Lent, I was gonna do just no drinking. I was gonna not drink at all, except for like I know that I had said when we do an episode or maybe when we had a fundraiser, which we'll talk about. But I think I had told you, Kevin, but I right the day before Lent, started the day before Ash Wednesday, Ash Tuesday, I saw this thing,
Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras, that one. Yep. Where Pope Francis had talked about like, okay, well, your Lenten thing, if it doesn't benefit anybody else, if it doesn't like reach out somehow, then it might be not the best one. And I realized, well, me just not drinking that, I mean, I'll do that mostly, but I had other things. So I did something else for Lent and I realized I'll just drink on occasion. And I think since Lent began, I've had, I think 3 drinks or something like that, 3 separate times that I've drank. So tonight I am just drinking bourbon with water in cracked glass. It's got a crack. You can't see it. There it is.
It's already cracked, man.
Well, this is old. This is one I've got from the first time we ever got the logo put on there.
So yeah,
it's
a few months old already.
It's okay. Like it goes to the dishwasher and it doesn't. It's just like an internal crack, like my heart. What are you drinking?
Culprit.
Wait. I'm drinking Cantilever local bourbon, and I've had it on here before, but I gotta say, I think this stuff is amazing. Like the more I like sip it, the more I'm just like they're doing a good job. So, Kevin, what are you drinking?
So it's so good that I poured myself a glass of the exact same thing.
The same stuff?
Mm-hmm. It was the leftover. There was about 1.5 ounces left over in that bottle from the fundraiser that we did. And so I said,
what was that all about, man?
I'll sip that. That was so fun. Well, it was your fundraiser. We did a fundraiser for Nick and Jacelyn's nonprofit because they're leaving all of us in the States forever to go to Cambodia.
Forever.
And so we did a card night fundraiser and hold'em and blackjack and prizes, and it was just a ton of fun. I've been thinking about it pretty much every day since.
Me too.
It was just so much fun.
Kevin said it where he works. He's clear out these conference rooms, and then one room was this big long. Did you buy that green roll, like the mat?
Oh
Did
yeah.
you buy that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It was this long hold'em mat. It was like a white line around there, like don't cross. And then the other room was blackjack, and there was bourbon. There were snacks. He did so great. He did such a good job. And at one point we were setting up, and it was quiet in the office, and he was setting up, and he popped out of a room, and he said, "You know, the only reason I did this is to get to hang out." And I was like, "Oh,"
which is true because Nick had you had to come down for it. I was like, if I do a fundraiser for you, you have to make an appearance, otherwise you're gonna feel bad. So
yeah,
boom, then you'll have to hang out with me, and it worked out perfectly. I got to hang out with you for like 4 hours.
It was great because two of my dads showed up and they were playing cards in the blackjack room. I never even got to play with them. It was just like my childhood. I got to sit. I got to sit in the other room. It was great. Actually, I wish I had taken pictures. The difference between a hold'em crowd crowd and then
And
a
a
blackjack
blackjack.
crowd.
Yeah.
And I was in there with the Hold'em people, and they were just like very somber and very thoughtful. And one of the guys is a chess dude, and he's just like in the zone, and he won. And we'd be quiet, and like they do that slide of the chips, like. And then every once in a while, just from the blackjack room, every man was bah! And there's peanuts flying out, and man, you guys sound like you're having a good time.
It's amazing the difference that those two games make as far as atmosphere. And you could have flip-flopped the guys and it would have been probably still similar. It would have been quieter at the Hold'em table and raucous at the blackjack table, because blackjack is a game where hearts are broken in an instant and hopes are realized. And you can go from you can double up or go to nothing in one hand. It's so fun.
Well, in fact, if I remember correctly, the guy who won at the end of the night, our buddy Johnny, he wasn't winning until that last bit, and like the last hand, he just shoved everything in and took it. He took everything.
Yeah, he was over on your side of the blackjack table. Or sorry, the Hold'em table.
Yeah,
bleeding chips, as in his words.
He was.
He came over to our side with a lot of his chips gone, and then he just got a few big hands in blackjack. And then he was sitting probably at third or fourth place at the chip count for the night. And I announced final hand because we had a time limit. And he's like, well, put everything in on one hand, doubled up his chip count, won the whole night.
He won the whole night.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It was neat, though. It was, yes, Kevin and I got to hang out, but it was also cool to see.
I was going to say, was it cool to just hang out with guys you probably haven't been able to hang out with in years?
Yeah, and I've never hung out. I mean, that was a smattering of people, because like Johnny's like my brother, like he's family, and then two of my dads, and then Kevin, who I get to hang out with all the time, and then a couple of deacons, and I've never hung out with them together. I've never hung out with either of them just alone, and it was fun to see. Like in the room, they all knew each other mostly, but it was neat. It was a neat dynamic. And then actually multiple times, like you'd be in the middle of a hand, and one of the guys would be like, "This is so great. I've been just waiting for something like this to happen." So that was cool.
Sweet,
you
man.
Started something, Kevin.
We've seen the beginnings of something special. And that's where I got to find out how delicious this cantilever. How do you say it? Cantilever?
Cantilever, yeah.
Cantilever is. It's a very dry bourbon. It's not sweet.
Yeah. No, I'm really, really impressed. So if you're in the area, you should get some.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. So, Nick.
Yeah.
I have one other scripted question for you tonight. And that's, how was your day?
My day. Today was a day of videos. Today, the nights leading up. So this is Wednesday night. So Saturday night, Sunday night, and Monday night, I got a combined total of 7 hours of sleep over a 3-night period. Just because Evangeline's had this cold, and she the mucus gags her and she pukes in the night. And so I've just been up. I was just up all the time, up. And then last night I got 7 hours of sleep, which felt like a dream. And I got up and I had a live thing at 5:30 for this group in Vermont. And then I had our very first board meeting ever for our nonprofit, which, by the way, was really, really neat to get. A board. I've had to prepare an agenda. Okay. I had to prepare an agenda for a board meeting, and I did it at 3 a.m. at one of the nights that I couldn't sleep. And you feel fake and all like grown up. And then I'm sitting there, I'm looking at because it was on Zoom, and I'm looking at the people on the screen, and I can't believe they're a part of my life, like that they're supporting of us. Like the combined expertise of the people on the screen was so cool. And like Jacelyn's dad, he's the treasurer. He opened in prayer, and then Bill Donahue, he closed in prayer. And like, it was bookended by these holy men, just like, I don't know. It was, I didn't expect it to be a moving experience. I just expected like, here's the board. They make sure we're financially, smart. But they were just, it was neat. And then it gave me the sense of like sort of a visible representation of everybody who's supported us, like even like you, well, you're just always there for us anyway. But like the idea that when we're overseas, we're actually not alone in any way. Even, I mean, the saints and the angels, but like even here in this temporal realm, like we're just not alone. We don't just have financial supporters. We just have people who have our back. It was really neat to see that, and I didn't expect that. So it was a cool. I stopped. I ran to the store to get milk, and then I started with you. So that was my. It was a good day. How about you? How was your day?
Beautiful. It was very standard. Finally, we have a week where we didn't start the week where everybody or somebody is sick for the first time in a while. So people are healthy. We got to actually have a day that was somewhat normal. We had freezing rain and snow yesterday and overnight. So this morning was kind of sticky out and kind of fun for snowballs. I chucked snowballs at my son before I left for work. And then
Headshots.
yep, a work day, and then our kids do just some fun gymnastics things on Wednesday night in town. It's just the little
Oh,
kids
nice.
gymnastics, gets them out of the house and exercising, and to get through these last couple months of winter. So that was good. We got home and put the kids to bed. Now you, I was talking to you, and I don't know when this exactly happened, but you just sold your house. Like, it's getting real. The whole leaving for Cambodia is getting really real, really fast. So first of all, how did that go?
Yeah.
And second of all, where are you guys going to live until you move away from civilization?
Yeah. We have a buyer, and so we've done the purchase agreement. And so we're just waiting for their lender to come back with all the stuff. Um, and that was cool. Came out of nowhere. There was a family that, or a husband and wife, who came and looked at the house, and I mean, yeah, so it was great. And they're just like, yep, it's worth it. We'll just pay what you're asking. Like, they didn't do any like bargaining up and down. They just said okay. And then they're like, and if you need to stay in the house, you don't have to pay rent. You just stay till you guys leave, and like all these things that you wouldn't expect somebody to do. They've just made all these like voluntary concessions we didn't ask for, to like give us a lot of peace. And then we're gonna move. I think now it's June 2nd. We're gonna drive away, which is crazy because that's less than 3 months. And then we're gonna spend the summer in Georgia. I have,
Okay.
again, thankfully, thank the Lord, I have in June, July, and August, I have like at least 14 days worth of gigs in all 3 of those months. So some last minute fundraising and whatnot is in order. It's real in the sense of like it's getting that close thing where months go by really quickly, no matter who you are. They go by. And now we realize it's less than 6 months. We'll just be on a plane. We'll be in a quarantine. We'll be doing whatever. And there's been some moments where it's hit kind of hard, like, oof, this is a goodbye in a lot of different ways. So yeah, it's been good. It's good though. I mean, we always knew it was coming, but yeah, it's good. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, it made me think, once you guys are there, are you going to basically get there and land and figure out where to go next from there? Like, talk to the priest that talk to the people at the
Yeah.
diocese and say, okay, where are we needed? Is that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, it won't even happen for a year. That's the tough part. Like the first year, we're not of any use to anybody. I mean, for any practical purpose, we can't speak the language. We don't have she doesn't have a work visa. We'll be a tourist visa for quite a while. Um, and we just don't know where we'll fit. And so that took some getting used to. Now we're to the point where like, yeah, I guess, but I mean, even all the priests we've talked to, they're just like, yeah, just get here. Even where we're going to live, we're moving to the town Siem Reap, I think, but we're going to land, we're going to rent a, like a VRBO or something. Although those are super, they're way more expensive than they should be. So we're going to find some local. It's probably going to be a really rough place to live, but for the first month, we're just going to cram in there, and then every day go out and look for places to live around town that we can rent for a reasonable amount long term. So we don't even know whither we goest. We don't know where we're going to live, but that's okay. I mean, that's something anybody who's had to live overseas, you kind of like, there's certain things you can't know ahead of time. You can't plan them. It'd be nice to have all the details. And if you're a millionaire, you could have it all set, but
Just go
you
do
just
it. Yeah.
can't. Yeah.
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 So the long-term plan though is to your every mini goal is to the goal of learning the language and doing medical missions, like going
Yep.
out to where like the gospel is needed and medical help is needed, and flying out if needed, or driving out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you
That's the
do you
long
plan to
term.
fly? Do you plan to fly out there eventually, like working towards being able to fly Jason places, or is that not needed in Cambodia?
It's such a small place. I don't know if it's needed. It's funny, my pilot rating at this moment, I couldn't fit my family in a plane I can fly. So like I was flying four-seaters. So I don't know. It's always an open door. It's a possibility because your pilot rating doesn't expire, but I don't know about that. I know that I don't know what I'll do long term. It's nice. People are very encouraging, like, well, you can do Zoom and still do stuff stateside, but in country, I mean, I'm going to be 44. I don't know when it comes to learning a language quickly. I don't know that that'll happen. So I can do what I can. I'm sure there's English speaking clergy and English speaking ministry personnel that I could do trainings with and whatnot, but I don't know where I'll fit. That's fine. That'll work out. The medicine thing can happen a lot more quickly. So Father Will got us in touch with Father Andrew, who just started a field clinic, literally in a rice field, just started up February like 8th. It started. So they're kind of open to us, or to Jason, not us, but Jason, like shadowing once a week and learning medical terminology. And yeah, it's just weird to watch it kind of solidify, but not know. Looking back,
Yeah,
it'll be great to watch episodes like this and be like, you had no clue. But right now, we
you had
just
no idea what you were doing, and look at how it panned out.
would you look at what happened? Mainly, the goal is to within the first year, just get you and your family there.
Yeah, are you going to try
But
to get people out there to join you for?
yeah,
Okay.
that's the third part of that's the third tier of our nonprofit. Like it's written into the bylaws or the articles of incorporation. Like
You have three
the
pillars.
Yeah, we have three pillars. It's a tripoded, um, and the first is medical, and the second is evangelism. And then the third is just having teams come of any kind, like individuals for as long as they want to. I always say like it's an open door. So a year, a day, a week, a month, or even your year could have somebody come. We'll be there for you.
Well, you better learn the language fast. And my wife has a cousin who is in his 40s and had to move to Indonesia to work for the government, and he learned their language in a few months.
Really?
Yeah, he's
But
smart
it was
though.
he a yeah, right. He's smart. He's a business professional. I got a I'm drinking from a cracked rocks glass, dude. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. I hope to get people. It's always every time we've ever moved out of the country, friends of ours have been like, dude, we're totally gonna visit. And they can't. I mean, you can't just go overseas. And at this point, you either have to want to do missionary work or you're probably not gonna visit. But that's fine. That's understandable.
That just means people who come are looking to help in some way while they're there.
It's true. Yeah. And we can work
Yeah.
that out. So yeah, I don't know. What's going on with you?
Well, if I come, dude, the problem with me is that all I want to do is eat street food until I get sick every single day. I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna
we
eat
do that.
street food in the markets until I throw up
So you
because
get
it's my dream.
diarrhea.
Like, I want to go to all the East and Southeast Asian countries and eat. That's like bucket list.
Yeah.
But you can't be scared of flying to do that, and I'm kind of scared of flying. So,
All right. But you flew to Dominica.
oh, I hated it, and it's gotten
Really?
worse over the years. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
39 hours of travel to get to Cambodia.
yeah. Oh, I
And it's
remember
three separate flights.
I was on this flight overseas to Ireland. This is several years ago now, and it was the middle of the night, and I mean, it was like moderate to severe turbulence, and I remember just like, I'm gonna die. I need to get up and run. I need to run somewhere, and I can't run anywhere. It's like total panic. Yeah, I got through it.
Yeah, you didn't die. You're here
No,
today.
well,
Yeah.
I knew it was irrational.
So you knew it was irrational.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm like, all right, I just have to be comfortable being totally uncomfortable right now. Like
Hmm.
this will end. It's like that. It's like this will end. I don't know when, and it feels like it's never gonna end, and I feel like I'm gonna die.
We had a joke when we would fly to Thailand. One of the trips to Thailand out of China on Thai Air, they serve really nice meals, like super, very good meals. Thai food, like an open grill in the back of the plane type, like really good. No, they didn't, but like really good food.
It
And their flight
was under the
attendants, like,
plane. Yeah,
yeah, it was under there.
open grills underneath.
But at one point, it was the worst turbulence I've ever been on because like trays were floating off your your tray, like the food tray was leaving your tray table and it was just bouncing. And so at one point, and I hadn't gone to flight school yet, so I was pretty nervous. And I just, when we would bounce, I'd take food and throw it at like fellow passengers, like throw rolls at each other and pieces of chicken. Then everybody started laughing. And then every time we'd hit a pocket, people would throw food. And that kind of broke. I just had to do that to make myself feel better. And then it made other people feel better. But that was nice. You can't do that on every flight. But
that's
anyway,
amazing.
because your food was floating up anyway in little bits. So it was kind of fun to chuck it. And I looked up and one of the flight attendants was like, she did like a chicken, like so she could fly, and was laughing. And so that was kind of fun.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My gosh, that's awesome. Well,
so Kevin and I, we get to speak together this weekend at an event.
Yeah. How did you get involved teaching teens about theology of the body? Because you're heading up a retreat this weekend, and it is a theology of the body retreat for teens called TOBIT. And I looked at the numbers yesterday. I couldn't believe it. There are 250 high schoolers signed up for this thing,
which is like more than go to TOBIT when we do TOBIT.
Yeah, TOBIT is a theology of the body weekend retreat, and they're doing it as a one-day retreat. For those of you who don't know, and there's a boatload of kids coming.
Right. Yeah.
And you know what, though? When you started teaching theology of the body, the landscape was different than it is right now. I mean, you have to focus and speak to things now that you did not have to touch on 10 years ago, even, which is crazy.
5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Yep.
That's wild. That's mental, as Dustin, my favorite character from Stranger Things, would say. Mental.
We started TOBIT, Theology of the Body Immersion for Teens. Yeah, it was like 10 years ago now. And it was pretty straightforward then. It was just taking TOB and like spreading it out over a weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or whatever. But yeah, very quickly.
And it blew up. I mean, to be fair, it just like, woof, like it was huge.
So much so, that we would do track one. If you went the first year, you got Father Mike and I, and then second year you'd get somebody else. From the beginning, it was Gomer, and now it's Colin McIver. When our diocese lets us have TOBIT, but this year they didn't let us have TOBIT, and so there's no second track. But that's how I got started, just working with Father Mike and stuff. And it's a fun camp. It's just just an immersion where you give teens. But that's the thing, though, like, so Kevin is speaking this weekend. He's doing the men's talk. This year it started. They canceled TOBIT, and one church was like, "Can you just come and do TOBIT, Nick?" And so I went, and it was okay. It wasn't. Father Mike and I have tag teamed it for 10 years, and it just wasn't as good. I'd be willing to a bet, and then nobody argued with me when I would say it, so it just wasn't as good. And then this other church in Duluth asked if we would just do it for that church, and then it kind of grew because other churches came, and it's not a diocesan thing, but like a ton of churches are coming. And then Father Mike was able to make it, and then Jen Messing is making it, and then Kevin Pilon will be there, so it'll be the powerhouse.
That should be fun, and that's going to be your last one, maybe ever. You don't know.
Yeah. I don't even know about coming home now, so that's a whole other thing. When we can come home, but
once you're there overseas, it's difficult for you to get home, just because the sheer amount of laws that restrict you from coming home as a nonprofit.
Yeah. So it's restrictive because there's 7 of us in our family, so the tickets are round trip about $2,000. So it's like $14,000 just to come home at all for anything. And then to top it off, if you work for a nonprofit overseas, you have to be out of the country 330 days of the year. If you break that in any consecutive days, if you break that in any way, if you come back a day earlier, if you have a funeral, or if you break it up into 2 chunks, you have to pay 20% taxes to the federal government, which is fine. That's their law. But that means if we come back, the financial guy, the CPA, did the math. We have to make $25,000 while we're home to make it cut even, all said and done. So thanks for the internet. The internet's good. We'll be able to see each other that way. But what I was saying, what was I saying? How did I get on that?
Well,
it's the last one.
Here's your last TOBIT that you'll be doing, because you won't be able to come home to do them.
Yep. Unless we come home for long enough to even that out. But anyway, we get to do that. And the landscape has changed so much that, like, for instance, we're taking a 3-day retreat and we're turning it into a 1-day retreat this Saturday, which limits the amount of time you can talk about issues that are very difficult to talk about. That if you don't give them the right amount of time, then you can
Then it just doesn't work.
severely offend people. It doesn't. You don't hit what you're aiming at. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. So I imagine a lot of thought and time planning between you and Father Mike is going into that specific challenge, because it's a unique challenge to this 1-day event at this, period of time, where you're trying to figure out how to present a thorough theology of the body, um, day, with these difficult topics interwoven, given the limited amount of time. Am I saying that? I'm kind of butchering it, but
Yeah, well, no, but I mean, it's the same thing that you're probably feeling to write a talk, a men's talk, to write a talk for all the high school boys or young men. Like, you probably have like an hour, and you have to write a talk that covers like masculinity, which is, I mean, it's tough. I think we're all facing it. I'm not sure how it'll come out in that regard, because I don't know
yeah.
what you can only do it so much justice. The thing is, like, the problem, you can offend people no matter what right now, let alone touching on that. We went to Faholic in Duluth the other day before we drove
Oh
out of
yeah,
town.
dude, they're pho.
The
Oh, they make some good pho.
Vietnamese soup pho. We went there, and so we're in a Suburban, and there's my whole family. We pull in, and to get into the drive. Have you been there, Kevin?
A
Faholic?
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their driveway is like the side of the building. It's enough for one car, and their back parking lot is basically a mud pit that you can park a few cars in. And it's Sunday afternoon. We pull in, and as I pull in, another truck pulls in behind me. We're next to the building, and as we approach this little parking lot in the back, there's a car of girls, college girls, wanting to get out. And their windows down. They're screaming at us for having pulled in. There's 2 cars also to the side trying to park. There's 2 cars trying to get out of their way so that they can park. Everybody doesn't know. It's one of those, like, the squares. We have to slide the squares in order to fit, like Tetris style. And so we're all fine with that. And this car of girls is just screaming, like they're out the window, they're waving. And so I started giving like the thumbs up, like, and I'm smiling. We have family. I'm just like, it's cool. We're just cars trying to park. It's going to be okay. And through the process of everybody moving out of the way, by the time they left the parking lot, as they like rounded to leave, they out the window just started screaming with their middle fingers at me. And I had my thumbs up. I'm like, it's okay. It's fine. Just go. And there's a car between them and us. And they're trying to get out into traffic, and they're still leaning out the car with their fingers, just screaming at us. And I was like, I told Jason, it kind of affected me for the rest of the day, because I'm like, there's so much anger in the world, right? People they're utterly angry about just cars trying to find a spot, let alone if you're going to talk about like their sexuality. I don't know. It's an interesting time, because rationale seems to be lacking a little bit, or a lot of it, in just discourse. So I don't know how to. I'm nervous actually about this weekend, how to talk to people when that's the kind of anger you get about like trying to find a parking spot or get out of it, because they were so angry they couldn't see just that there are a bunch of cars and they all have to shimmy so they can get out of it. Like, it was just weird. So that's kind of got me in this frame of mind. I'm like, I don't know how it'll go, because like, you can have truth and you can speak it as much in love as you want, but the speakers aren't perfect, and the people listening are angry, like, by default. So I don't know. That's a tough one.
There's an amazing poet out there. He's an English teacher. His name's Taylor Molly. And he got famous on YouTube about a decade or more ago because he had written this poem. And his poem was, it was on questioning authority, or speaking with authority. And it's so great because he starts off the poem going, in case you haven't noticed, it has become popular to sound like you don't know what you're talking about. And so he just started this poem with like ending in a question mark, where it's
Question
not
mark?
Yeah,
It's
and
so good.
it's so well done. You have to look it up, and if maybe you already know it, but the
Yeah,
closing line of the poem, it always stuck with me. He goes, "Because it is not okay to just question authority. You have to speak with it too." Boom, and then that's beat done. And I think that the time for speaking with authority is now. And I
yeah,
think that um, you have the benefit of having a already warm audience. You know, there's
sure,
people that
sure.
were convinced to go there, but when you think about the youth ministers that are getting them to go there, the youth ministers know them and they
Yeah,
trust their youth minister. And then you guys are going to do your thing, and the Holy Spirit's there. You know, the Holy Spirit is guiding and has been for years and years and years. Your theology of the body and ministry, yours and fathers,
mm,
because it's his work. So I just think that takes the pressure off, because I was thinking about it, like you said, I was thinking about like doing this men's talk. I'm like, they don't know me. Like they
yeah.
don't care. They don't care what my life is like. They don't care what my family's like. They don't care what I'm struggling with. Like I'm gonna pop in and pop out of their lives. They don't care, and they don't need to care. They have no reason,
Sure,
except for whatever the Holy Spirit wants for whoever's open to it, whoever's receptive to it. And that was the point of the very first TOBIT retreat, was get kids away to a space where if there's a kid or 5 or 50 who is receptive and open to what God wants to say to them this weekend, they're going to hear it, even through all our bumblings and the
sure.
goofball hodgepodge group of youth ministers that put that first TOBIT together.
Yeah.
It's going to work out.
No, that's true. That's true. Well, and I remember like way back at one point, I might have talked. No, I don't know. Driving to a gig and praying like, okay, Lord, I got this one shot with these kids, and the Holy Spirit being like, "You're stupid. You think this is their shot? Like you and your little one talk is their shot. Like you don't think that I'm working in their hearts every day and calling to them and like speaking to their hearts and their minds all the time. You're just there to give them one more opportunity. That's it. Like, and that's really comforting to realize, like, yeah, you're not going to change a culture in a weekend. You're not going to, I mean, you can't change lives anyway. Like we can do our best. At the same time, the speaker side is always like, yeah, but could we do the best that we could do? Like
This
to
gets
to
back to
balance it out.
our discussions on like public speaking and having a
Yeah.
platform where you better do your best.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's up to you, and at the same time, you better do your best.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's that mix of, I guess, I mean, he's preparing their hearts, and you'll be a footnote at best. Like you won't. I remember, yeah, Father Mike's, um, what's his name? His spiritual director told him that one time. When you die, no one's going to remember you. Like that, just no one's gonna. You think they will, and like for Father Mike, he's got this platform. I mean, yeah, not so much. I mean, it doesn't, but he'll do what he does with what they hear and what goes on in their hearts. So. I mean, for you though, have you prepared your talk? I mean, do you know what you're gonna say?
I've been working on it, but it's not done. It's not even close yet.
Mm.
And it's like
Yeah, that's awesome.
I got 45 minutes, I think, and
Oh wow, that's awesome.
I wasn't it wasn't part of the original plan. You know, I was there to do music. And so I was
Oh,
asked
I
to
didn't know
do
that.
this talk, a few days ago. But yeah, just thinking through. I asked the dad today who I knew his son is going. I said, "Hey, so how much does so and so know about porn?" I just like threw it out there, and so I got the answer, because I was like, just I'm trying to gauge, how to be a helpful and real without scandalizing anybody, because there's going to be a mix. It's going to be a mix of
Yeah,
people, and that's the danger you always run of going too far one way or the other. The too far one way is you don't say anything real. You're just kind of high in the clouds,
yeah,
and not speaking in anybody's life. And the other side is you're saying too much that it's a stumbling block for
yeah.
some who are there.
I
So
know that's so
that's
tough because you'll get kids you get a few who's they haven't like been exposed yet. They haven't like had that. and then you could say something, and then that's all they're thinking about. They're like, wait a minute, there's something out there where I could see that. Like, like they've awakened that, and you don't, I suppose, want to do that as well. That's tough.
No, Nick, no, you
In
don't.
some ways, in some ways, what you're getting to do is a bit more daunting, because we just have set material when it comes to TOB. Like, we're trying to cover tenets of TOB, but you get this open forum where you gotta kind of feel it through, not to not to freak you out, put undue weight.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think a man's talk is in its essence, or in it? What is the nature of a man's talk when it's so open ended like that?
I don't know, because that's changed for me. I mean, because I've ended up having to give those at multiple TOBITs and different confirmation retreats and stuff. I think it's changed over time, because there used to be certain things that were accepted, and just sort of canon, like about masculinity, about even the word male, like who's supposed to be at a men's talk then, like that's in question now. And so I think it's different this year than it was a year or two ago. So I don't know necessarily. That's a tough one, because now you're stuck, not you, generic you is stuck having to define male, like having to kind of go back to that. I do like, and again, I don't know if this video will get flagged just for having the conversation, but like, one of the ways Father Mike has said, or has used to define a male and a female, is just that a male is the type of human being that can be a father, and a female is the type of human being that can be a mother. Because it's very definitive. Like, that's a fundamental. It's not like, is the strong one, is the silent type, is the provider. Because in our family, I'm weak. Jacelyn's way stronger than me. She's the provider. Like, those are societal and cultural, but that kind of cuts through a lot of it to just the very basics of, like, okay, if you're doing a men's talk, you're talking to the type of human being that can be a father. Because it's definitive. I mean, that's part of the anatomy. It's part of the nature of the binary species. And that can kind of be a good springboard. So I guess if I were having to give one right now, that'd be a starting point anyway. It's not everything, but if you're talking about the human species, the male is the type of human being that can be a dad, be a father, and cannot be a mother, and then vice versa. And that we're now, again, like, it's at the risk of sounding like a fuddy-duddy, like, well, nowadays these kids, but we're having this conversation. We're actually at a point now where that forever and ever was an accepted thing, and now it's controversial to say that, and that happened in a very short period of time. So I think there's a bit of scrambling to figure out, like, okay, well, and then, sorry, you top it off, everybody's angry.
Everybody's angry.
If you had a group,
and their anger is just misdirected. Like, we're just directing our anger.
And teenagers in general, like, their cortex is still forming. Like, they're still figuring out how to dialogue. If their parents haven't shown them how to have an honest dialogue with somebody, they're just mad, and they get to just be mad. They get to be mad immediately, no matter what, even if they're wrong. And so we're in a weird time. We're in a very weird time right now.
It's a very weird time right now. I want to take it from to a different angle for a moment. And what do you think a man's talk is designed to be? Like, words come to mind for me, like, okay, a man's talk at a retreat like this, it's supposed to be, is it supposed to be a rouser? Is it supposed to be a fervorino? Is it supposed to be inspirational? Is it supposed to call people to task? Like, what do you think is the essence of a man's talk, general philosophy, at a retreat such as this?
At a retreat such as this,
and put the aside to, like, what is, like, put aside, like, let's define what a man is. Let's pretend that's defined.
Oh, I would say, given how
what's the aim? What are you trying to get? What are you trying to get young men to do or think about? That's like, what is the essence of a man's talk?
I would want young men and old men. I would want men to feel thankful that they were created a man, and to be inspired to be that. So for me, I know the day it changed for me. There's a bunch when we found TOB, and there obviously my wedding day was the day I started trying but messing it up. But I would say the day that I was sitting in my office at St. Ben's as a youth minister, and I read that footnote in TOB where he talks about the Hebrew for male and female. It was among the top, if not the definitive, formative day for me as a man. Again, I'm in a different place than most teenagers would be at a retreat, but that was the men's talk I needed because it told me definitively in the Hebrew what I am, what I'm supposed to be when I wake up in the morning. So, and since that day, I dropped the ball nearly every day, but I'm not ignorant when I wake up anymore. So when I get up in the morning, I know what I'm supposed to be. And it's okay when I fail. That's fine. But I know what I'm aiming for. And that was everything for me. Like to feel suddenly like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that is what a man is. Because again, the woman is staggering. Woman, I sometimes I feel, I remember Dave Matthews one time in an interview, they were like, wow, you write a lot about women and about intimacy in your music. Why? And he said, because I worship women. Like, and I sometimes get that in the idea of like the staggering complexity and beauty that women are. At the same time, though, right now, men are pretty bashed on and hated. I mean, sometimes rightfully so. They've been horrible all through creation since the fall. At the same time, we're very good. And like, I know Jordan Peterson points out, like, look at what men have done for every society always and ever, like every invention and creation and advancement of society. Look at everything they've done. It doesn't negate women to also admit that men are really, really good. So I think for me, finding out what a man is and knowing that every day is inspiring. So yeah, inspiring. There's the word. What about you though, dude?
So
You're
there it
just
is,
bouncing it
inspiring.
back to me.
That's good.
You
So
talk.
that's what you're you're saying. The essence of a man's talk is to be inspiring.
Yeah, to be thankful for being a man. You're not an accident, so if you're a man that's not accidental, God wanted you to be the man that you are. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Why? What? So you're not saying anything though. You're bouncing it back to me every time because you know I'll rant.
I'm getting material. What the frick are you talking about? I'm taking notes, man. Taking notes
I
and
don't
eating
know.
Starburst. I know you're not supposed to eat when you're on
Ugh.
video, but I don't care.
It's okay. I can't hear your mouth smacking. That's all. I can't stand that.
Okay, that's good. I'm just like,
Like when they do the psalm.
what do you mean?
I hate that. When they the vast majority of psalmists, when they go up to do the psalm, you can just hear that.
At
I
mass?
always joke that I'm convinced that you don't see it, but they like eat a spoonful of peanut butter before they go up, and then just. I hate it. I hate the psalm. Anyway, man, that's got me thinking now. Well, what do you? I mean, I guess you're writing it now, but
Is your stuff all ready to go?
no, I'm meeting Father on Friday because we have to truncate everything. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, when I
Won't
did
it
the
be
TOBIT,
similar? Will it be similar at all to when you guys do your 1-day TOB stuff?
it'll be more similar, but TOB and TOBIT their outlines are totally different. So I don't know. And I just defer to him. Like I don't have a creative mind. So if you give me a sentence, I can preach on it or something, but I don't think stuff up well. So you should guide me. I'll take notes.
No, I'm the same way as you. You know this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think stuff up well.
No,
I
don't come up with stuff.
copycat. I can copycat. I can steal. I'm good at stealing.
You come up with good episodes, though. I've never come up with a good episode. You come up with every good episode we've had.
Like the last 10 episodes we've done, you've like planned and found the guests for.
You know, guests are different. What else? There was another thing I was going to bring up tonight. I can't remember. Did I text it to you?
No.
Something else I wanted to cover. One of them, though, was what? Go ahead.
I was going to say you had mentioned having a guest on, but maybe that wasn't for tonight.
No, we're trying to get Maggie Craig. She's a female Catholic speaker. she is the type of human speaker that can be a mother, and she is going to be on the show at some point. But I know there was something else. I did know I wanted to bring out the everybody's angry thing. You segued into that. We didn't even talk about that, but that's something I'm struggling with, to be honest. I wanted to do like a 5-minute Nick the Idiot podcast. I haven't done a podcast in forever. I wanted to do something, but I don't know where to go with it. All I know is that it just disturbed me. I just every time it welled up in me, like I wish I had the foresight when they were honking and screaming at me and giving me the finger. I wish I'd put it in park and walked up and just like gave him a $50 bill and just said, "Listen, I'm really sorry. Like whatever's going on, I didn't mean to offend you. I know it's rough. Here's $50. I hope that you're okay. I'll be praying for you." Like that's what I wish I had had the president. But instead, like if I hadn't kept this finger up, it would have been a different one. So I don't know. It's really actually shook me a little bit how angry.
Man.
Because the other day, Christian and I went to Dunkin' Donuts in International Falls, Minnesota. And we're pulling into the parking lot, and there's a car just backing out of their spot. And then they saw me coming, and then they pulled forward because I was in the flow of traffic already in the parking lot, and they knew they couldn't back out in front of me. So I went past, and I loop around into the drive-thru, and I'm ordering, and a teenage girl and her mother drive. That was who was in the car. They drive past us, and 4 middle fingers come out their window. The mom and her teenage daughter gave us the middle finger because we, I guess,
Because you
didn't
happened
let them
to
out of
be there?
And again, Christian was like, "Whoa, Dad!" I'm like, I don't know what to say, son. There's just anger and rage everywhere, and to be honest, those are the times I feel like a simpleton. I don't know what to do with that. I don't like. So, if you have
man.
thoughts on anger in the
No,
world,
to the contrary, because that's where you and I are very different. If I would have been in that situation in the mud pit parking lot with those college girls yelling, I would have been very close to getting out of the car and going up to them and be like, "Hey, idiot, say it to my face." I would have gotten in their face. Like I'm confrontational like that a little bit. So I would have gotten in trouble probably in both those situations. So that's why God doesn't let them happen to be where I'm like, wow, I can't believe that happened to you. Gosh, that's crazy.
I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to process it. So maybe people can comment. I don't know what to do with all the anger. And you can be like, well, even in the darkest time, a candle still shines a light. Like I know, but like, what do you actually do with all the anger? Like, I mean, I've just been praying for those girls since Sunday. And I know that's something, man. Prayer is powerful. I know, but I want to know truly what to do with all the anger. There's got to be an antidote to you're a bunch of girls leaving. You just ate a full stomach of Vietnamese awesome soup.
And you've never done anything for the world ever. You've only taken. You have only sucked from the educational system. I'm sure you're fine. I'm sure you're just fine, but you got no business getting angry at somebody stuck in a parking lot with you.
It's just, well, part of it is like, man, what could you do when the processing, like the brain not to say they're dumb, but their current cognitive processing was that they couldn't see that there were 5 cars trying to figure out how to fit. Like they couldn't see that I couldn't back up because there was a truck behind me. And if he backed up, he'd be in 4 lanes of traffic. Like, I don't know. They just couldn't see that. So I don't know. This episode goes nowhere. And what?
I got a crying kid. You're going to have to talk to yourself for a minute.
All right. So these are the things you can edit out after the fact. This might be the end of the episode, to be honest. This could be right now, could be where we're just like, yeah, that's the end. We'll just play. But it's not. That's not what we're going to do. We're not going to do that. I would say, though, if you happen to be watching and you have any clue other than prayer, because I get that and I acknowledge that, how to handle the anger in the world. Yeah, no, it's a big thing. And I don't know that there's a quick answer to it. You could be the change you wish to see in the world. And that's all true. But, at the same time, you just wish that there was something. I feel like if I had the presence of mind to put it in park and walk up and give them $50 and say I was praying for them, that would have diffused it. Because when that, like, if you were screaming at somebody and just giving them the finger and they walked up and said, listen, I'm really sorry. Here's $50. I hope your day goes better. I feel like that would do something, but maybe it wouldn't. Maybe it wouldn't in this day and age. Yeah, maybe it wouldn't. Well, it's been really cool to have you guys here tonight. When I first met my father-in-law, who was going to be my father-in-law, I would be in the car with him. It'd be quiet. He'd be driving, and then he would do this. So we'd be driving, and then he would go. And I'd be sitting there waiting for what he was going to say, and then he didn't, and then it would prey on my brain because I'm like, what did he want to say to me right then? But he didn't say to me right then. What was on his mind that he didn't either, like I wouldn't get it, or like it'd be too rude, or I don't know what it is, but I feel like because it would just. And then he'd move on. So I don't know.
All right. I think that's duty telling us our time is up.
All right. Well,
Toast?
Yeah, I guess a toast.
I saved a tiny little sip.
Take a little bit. There you go. What do you got for a toast?
Well, to success to the work of our hands this weekend. Cheers.
All right, cheers.
Thanks for joining us, Old Fashioned Catholics. See you next time.